Hi, I'd like to thank you for purchasing the Belly Stripper deck from Stephen's Magic Emporium. This is an exclusive deck that is specifically made by me. My name is Stephen Perry. I hand make all of Stephen's Magic Emporium specialty decks. This one is very special. These are all hand cut. As you can see, the cards are completely shuffled. And the beauty of this deck is at any given time, with a single strip out, you can separate all the reds from the blacks. I'll show you that again. You can shuffle. And the beauty of this stripper is that it can be shuffled any way. With traditional strippers, you couldn't do this. Because once the cards got turned around with a traditional stripper deck, you wouldn't be able to do that in terms of strip the cards out. You place your left thumb or right thumb, depending whether you're left-handed or right-handed, in the middle of the cards and gently strip out. It takes a little bit of practice, but once you practice this enough, you will be able to take all the cards. You can even do faro shuffles. Show the cards completely shuffled. Thumb in the center and strip out. 100%. Now what makes this so wonderful is that it is the best deck to do out of this world. Normally with Out of This World, you would have to have the cards this way. As I'm sure you're familiar with the trick, it's one of the greatest card tricks of all time. But here, you can actually have the cards shuffled. The spectator can shuffle the cards, although I probably wouldn't want them handling this deck. But they don't have to, because you can show the cards shuffled. You can have the spectator cut off about half the cards. We won't even use those, but then from here you can do the same strip out, and you've just separated the reds from the blacks. By looking at the cards, you can tell after a while which cards are the red ones and which one are the black ones by the way they're cut. But from here, you can do Out of This World by just saying there's a red card, and I'm going to see, I'm going to grab a black card. And with the cards face down, you can have the spectator's name, and you just have to keep track of when, right about here, we're going to switch. We'll put the red cards there, and let me grab a black card here, and go back. You can shuffle these up again, and do the exact same thing. And of course, everyone is correct. Now, I don't like doing Out of This World with a full deck. I prefer to do it with a half a deck because it's not quite as long. And that is the easiest way to get into Out of This World. Now, another great trick with this deck that I like, it's a standard stripper deck trick. But what's nice with this deck is, again, the cards can be completely shuffled. You have one spectator pull out a black card. You have another spectator pull out a red card. You give the deck a cut, and now you've stripped out the reds from the blacks. The exception of two. We'll try that again. We'll do that from the beginning again. These cards are shuffled. The card is selected. You do your strip out, and then you can have this first spectator, the black cards are on top, put their card in here. The second spectator puts their card in the lower portion. You can give a false shuffle, snap the fingers, and then as you spread, the black card is the only one amongst the red, and the red is the only one amongst the black. That takes a little bit of practice. I missed one card. But you get the general idea. This is one of the tricks I really enjoy with this deck. You can have the cards shuffled. And of course, it doesn't matter which direction they're shuffled with this deck. The cards are truly shuffled. You can have take this and fan out this way, have the spectator, one spectator pull a red card, and another spectator pull a black card. For intensive purposes with this trick, let's do the Queen of Hearts and the Queen of Clubs. While they're looking at their cards, you do your strip out. And what you've just done is you've just separated the reds from the blacks, unbeknownst to the spectator. So now, knowing that the black cards are on top, you run just a few cards, have the first spectator return their card. Then you go to the lower portion, have a second spectator add their card. Now, this is the situation you're at. One black and one red opposite. Spectator doesn't know that. So by adding a false shuffle, doing a Zorro, a snap and a wave, and then you show that. That to me is pretty amazing, because now the red is amongst the black cards and the black is amongst the red. That's the other trick I really like with this deck, next to Out of This World. Now, a couple of tips on the Belly Stripper deck. Remember, you can shuffle these any way you like, but when you do separate the cards for a table riffle, you want to make sure that you're reaching the center of the card, right where that center dot is, and you're picking up on either side of that. You don't want to pick them up on the ends. You want to pick them up in the center. And the reason for that is you'll understand it more when you see these cards close up in the way that they're cut. So you always want to pick up here, and you can do your table riffle. Some tips on handling the Belly Stripper deck. Now remember, you can do any type of shuffle you want, just about. But remember, if you do a table riffle, you want to pick up the cards, watch carefully, from the middle of the card. You don't want to pick them up from the ends, because the ends, it's going to be more difficult to pick up without a lot of practice and understanding how these cards actually work. So remember, you pick up from the middle, and you can do your table riffle. I do not recommend doing an up the ladder false cut, which would be this one here, without really practicing that a lot first. You'll see what happens? That's why. Because the way the cards are cut, you do not get a very good up the ladder without a tremendous amount of practice. So I do not recommend doing that. However, you can do a Zorro with this, no problem. The Zorro will work no problem. That's completely false. Or the Hunter Shuffle. The Hunter Shuffle will work just as well as the Zorro. We'll try that one more time. The Hunter will work just as well as a false shuffle if you needed to. And when you're separating the reds from the blacks, you do want to make sure that that thumb has pressure in the middle of the deck. Here. The middle finger and the thumb, and then your other hand's going to come and just do a very gentle strip out. My favorite card trick with the Belly Stripper is Out of This World. We all know Out of This World. It is one of the greatest card tricks ever invented. And with the Belly Stripper, you can do this trick without even looking at the cards, because you can literally show the cards. You could have the spectator cut the cards right in the middle, so you're not using all the cards. And while you're getting into this one, you give one cut and you're ready to go. Because you've just separated those reds from the blacks, which makes this trick really work amazing. Now, another thing you could do, and I would recommend this, I'm not going to do these to these decks because I think it's subjective to each individual magician, is you could put a little mark on all the red cards in the corners or all the black cards. I personally like to take away a little bit of the card rather than putting a mark. I got that from Joshua J. What you do is you go to the little corner, you take an X-Acto knife, and you scrape away just a little line in the corner. And you do that on all four corners of either the reds or the blacks. This way you can immediately know whether you're looking at a red card or a black card. And that makes this trick even easier when you have that, because then you say, okay, I need, let's see, one red card. There's a red card, and let me say, and there's a black card. Now you know the black cards are on top. So then you can, at this point, just ask the spectator to go red or black, and they go red, they go black, doesn't matter. And you'll know when you get to the last, the second to last card, because you spread a little bit. So you'll know that this is a black one and that's a red one. Now you have to reverse them. So you lift the cards up. Okay, let's reverse it. Put the black ones here, and let me find a red card. And you do that just as if you're actually looking for a red card, even though they're all red. And again, you shuffle these up. And again, ask the spectators. And again, they decide red or black, red or black. I like to put this little subtlety in. They say red, you say, oh, good choice, and you finish. One way through the deck you do that, just to emphasize that they're right. And from here, of course, all you do is pick the cards up and reverse them, and every single guess is correct. Now you could do this with the entire deck, although I think it's a little long. I like to use half the deck, and then you can say, well, we could have used this half and they were all shuffled as well. Because you can show these as the remaining half as still shuffled. Not really a need to. Now remember, with the belly stripper deck, you can shuffle these any way you want. You can do a table riffle, you can do a faro, and they actually faro quite nicely. You can do a riffle this way, which is not any, you can never do that with a regular stripper deck. And the important thing to remember is to put your thumb in the center, and almost like the four fingers on one side, thumb on the other, and then gently pull out. And that will separate all the cards. If you're finding you're having a little bit of trouble, then I would recommend doing this. Once you have the cards shuffled, and if you find yourself having a little bit of trouble separating them, first I'll show you they're shuffled, is you can get some air between the cards by just doing a quick dribble. By doing a quick dribble, we'll get air in between the cards, which will make the separation that much easier. That was almost too easy. As you can see, the cards slided very quickly as they came out, but they are separated. So remember, thumb in the middle. Oh, and here's one more tip. If you are doing table riffles, make sure you separate from the center. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time picking up. You might have a hard time picking up those cards because of the way they're cut. So you always want to pick up from the middle, which will guarantee you pick up without cards shifting and moving. If you pick up from here, cards might have a tendency to slide out a little bit. So always pick up from the middle, move over, and you can do your riffle, your table riffle. I'd like again to thank you for purchasing the Belly Stripper deck from Stephen's Magic Emporium. Please keep a lookout on all our specialty decks. There's quite a few to choose from. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact us at Stephen's Magic Emporium. Phone number, email address is on here as well. And for this deck, shh, keep this one to yourself because it's so powerful. Thank you again.